will do. Okay, so broad overview, there are novelty, or actually deviance, novelty, conformist, social, necessity, and investment. That's the matrix of personality decision strategies. And then also there are significance, the human needs stuff, and it's very similar to
So
right.
can you apply those stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah,
right
yeah.
here?
So
You
right
can
here for
profile.
you, I definitely view you as definitely a social person, and so you really are driven by the need for connection, is my impression. And then so, like, if I come to you and I'm selling something to you, or if I'm presenting an idea, or if I want to influence you, um like, for example, if you were a deviance person, I wouldn't sell to a deviance person the same way I would sell to somebody who's in your category, a social person. Like, so for example, hey, you know what? You're gonna really find this particular product. You'll feel connection to your neighborhood, or if you have this particular car, man, people are going to flock around you and want to interact with you because it is such a unique vehicle, and it really stands out as a way of connecting with you. Whereas a deviance person, for example, I would sell, hey man, you're going to be such a rebel with this vehicle. Nobody has this car at all in your neck of the
Do
woods,
you
and
do you have this? Do you have this scripted out?
I don't. I think that's the key of where real mastery comes in for this stuff, is you just know, okay,
Yeah, yeah. But how do you practice it? You see what I'm
that's
saying? How do
a
you
good
practice
question.
it?
I'm not quite there yet. I'm still trying to figure out, okay, how would we
Okay.
practice it? Yeah, and that's exactly right. So one of the things we can do is profiling, like taking clips of people and let them talk for 20, or like, that's what he does. Chase Hughes does it by like, have someone talk for like 3 or 5 minutes, and then you do a profile of them. So that's the initial way, is learning the profile. And then the mastery to me comes in is like taking that and then crafting your message differently based on who you're talking to. So
Douglas, it's funny, kind of a paradox, because like they're teaching you how to profile by profiling, and by doing this, you being profiled. It's just this loop, that this is just a framework,
mhm.
and I just don't see what's the use for it. Like, unless you're trying to figure out what exactly.
I think there might be something to what you're saying, and here's what I'm. It feels like the learning curve is steep. So
But
what?
here's the thing, Douglas, help me understand. We're talking about persuasion here,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
You make someone change their decision, their mind. That's what I got into sales.
Yes.
That's why I got to hang out with snipers and Jeremy Miner. Those are the guys who changing someone's mind within 30 minutes. They collect 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 dollars. Where is Chase Hughes? Like, I don't see those things, right?
This is a very provocative question, and you may be 110% right. I don't know yet. And what I will say is, what I do know of NEPQ and what Jeremy's doing, you have a framework already. So the burden on me is to delve deep enough into Chase and say, well, that framework plus. Now, here's an interesting fact that I learned along the way. And you may be, and this may blow your mind. Jeremy uh Jeremy and Eli Wild are buds, right? So Jeremy and Eli are cool, and Eli is creating a framework, and I think Eli's framework is basically Jeremy with an NLP spin on things. It's basically NEPQ plus NLP is my impression of what Eli's doing. Okay, guess who sells for Chase's organization?
Lie.
Eli. So at the end of the day, it makes you're like, well, wait a minute.
But that's not a secret, Douglas. They hang out together. They actually done a master class together
Right.
in one of these mansions, and this is where I actually got on this 3-day W sales challenge, I think, or something like. It was amazing, incredible. Like the way he wraps you around this emotional kind of you know, it's for them it's all like positivity. There is no negativity there. It's all like certainty, clarity,
Certainty,
you know,
certainty.
passion.
Yes.
Yeah, he talks about the certainty. That's what he does. That's how he pushes it.
Yeah.
I mean, Chase does something else, but in essence, like you see, those guys are making sales. Elias have a proven track record, apparently. I mean, apparently he's one of the top in the industry, like
Right.
1% of 1%, which is fascinating, right? But like a Chase Hughes, he's an intelligence agency guy.
Right.
He is basically a official scam artist.
Right. That's the thing.
Isn't it like it's I never thought about it. It's like it's literally a
yes,
scam artist.
exactly.
But
You're a scam artist for the government. I think that's at the end of the day, that's probably right. You're scamming someone to
do something for you. Exactly.
So at the end of the day, the stuff with Chase is so esoteric, and I probably will say, I don't want to say it's not a waste of time. I feel like it's like if you want to go to like the very like influence, like super you know, crazy star, yes, but if your outcome is, you know, maybe I just want to make a lot of money with it.
But this is the thing, Douglas. These guys are exactly like Tony Robbins. The problem is this is all mindset. It's all rah rah rah. It's just mindset. Like it makes you feel in a different way. But how do you get skills?
Right.
That's what an APQ guy is all about. Skills.
Right.
We're selling skills. Even if I'm pitching every time, it's skills and the results attached to those skills. These guys, they're just giving you some sort of a like a mashed potato that doesn't have any distinctions in there, and you swallow it, and it's delicious. But it's kind of like it doesn't leave anything there.
I think it is there, but it takes it actually getting it and using it is very time consuming. And the question really will, and this may be a fair question, is it actually worth the time? And I don't know the answer to that. I know I'm curious enough to find out, okay, how would I integrate and how would I use it? But
exactly. And this is for me too. Like I'm trying to understand it because these guys are preaching skills, and this is like skills-based organization.
Right.
I never experienced anything like this before. It was like I don't have anyone to discuss it coming from outsiders, right?
Yeah.
It's all about like skills. Like the more skillful you are at sales, the more of a salary you're gonna have.
Yeah.
And people are making, you know, good money there. Like
Yes.
today, amazing, $2 million deal, coaching package sold. 2 million. What the man? So it's exciting to be around those people, right? And trying to understand what is it that they kind of doing and how are they living. It's so like skills. When you're hearing the conversations, they're breaking down things into parts, and they practice those bits and pieces. There is a techniques and tools to that. And so like that's why I asked you, like, if you like some of these bits, do you actually practice those? I actually took out a couple of bits from Eli Wild. I don't have it to the level that he does it, but for example, what was this? I had it skipped it somewhere. He was doing it on this 3 days challenge. So one of them was 10 doors, 9 exits. And so Eli was saying, so you have to become that leader for yourself. You know, you have to take responsibility, step out of that door, because no one can make you. I can only hold that door open for you and walk through that door together. So are you looking for a way out or a way in? Because ultimately you can't really be a successful business owner that makes tens of thousands of dollars per month using the same decision as 9-to-5 person. That's what creates uncertainty. And man, I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. So in order for you to get on this journey, you have to start making different decisions. Would you disagree? So this is kind of his certainty bit, right? So I have to script it out. And now, if I have a chance, I'm gonna try and using it on the conversation. When I'm having this conversation with someone, have to agree to be coachable,
Yes.
to learn, to go through the process for the next 6 months. It's like signing up for university, right? You got to enroll. And so, but there are results attached to this. In university, it's like, I'm gonna have certificate and that's it. Like, you're just gonna have status. But here, you know, there is the results of, you know, life-changing kind of events. Like, how do you open your business?
I am
So
blown away. And what I think there is a relationship between what Chase is teaching and what that language pattern that you just had. And again, the Eli stuff and the patterns might be the ultimate tool to pair with the NEPQ. And again, I think you're on a track there with something that's like, I don't know how more elite you get, other than, and again, it's the, do you need like the conversational hypnosis stuff? And that's the, like the mind bending language. That's another model that Igor Ledachovsky teaches.
okay, we can do that. Yeah. Sorry.
No problem. There's the conversational hypnosis piece. And again, I don't know to what extent you even need that stuff when you got Eli and NEPQ. And again, the skill set ultimately of doing conversational hypnosis and doing mind bending language.
I think that's what coaching is in an essence.
Yes.
You have to help people make a decision or change their decision, change their way. And the faster you're able to get to that change, you know, the better results you're gonna get.
And I think that this is why I think you're probably going to be one of the most beastly beast of all the sales snipers that ever sell snipered, because you're coming from a coaching background, and so you're already in your neural pathways are already wired to that. And I think what you're doing is you're just, you know, applying coaching to that context. And sales is coaching, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Like what? What? And I'm kind of like, oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly. And then you kind of, you know, you what you're doing, that's how I'm understanding it, is that you're guiding a person through a series of realizations that what they're doing right now is making things worse for them by being in that place. And so that for them to get out, they have to have a better vision and then take action right now. And this whole decision process loop, it comes through from the beginning of the sales till the very end, where there is objection handling part. Objection handling is just you overcoming their concerns. That's what objections are. Together. And so what Matt and the other ones teaching in Sales Sniper, because Matt is the main boss, is that there are like not that many objections. Most of them are separated into the money fear, money logistical. So that like you're afraid to spend money, or you just don't have enough money on hands and you don't know how to solve that problem. Like you haven't thought it through, you don't know how to solve it yet. Right. And so that's why your objection handling, you coaching them through the decision-making process yet again, so that they can find money and that they can put themselves in a better position to achieve their success. And that's the goal. of the conversation,
Beautiful.
day in and day out. And so when we're talking about like practicing certain tools, that's what I'm trying to understand. I love some of the bits that Eli is doing and Chase is doing, but I don't see those life-changing events happening there. You know what I'm saying?
Eugene, I'm completely open to that possibility that what I might be going down a rabbit hole and then get down to the rabbit hole and say, you know what? I shouldn't have gone. Well, no. I will never say that. I love my rabbit holes, and rabbit holes are how I live. But having said that, I'm getting a sense of what Jeremy's built and what Eli's built might just be, like, why on earth are you trying to you're trying to build something over here when over here is already built and it's up here, and you can climb, and the steps are already there. Whereas what I'm working on is almost like I'm trying to. Man, I guess the right way to put it is you've already got a highway built, and I'm over here in the forest, and I'm hacking a pathway into the forest. And I may be wrong by doing that, but what I will say, I'm also trying, and what we're doing is we're practicing the NEPQ that we know as a group. We're studying the NEPQ stuff too while we're at it, so we're kind of paralleling to the extent we can of what we understand of NEPQ, and we're studying them together. So it's not like if I go so far down the rabbit hole I have nowhere, I can always say NEPQ it and go back to that framework. And I will introduce Kenrick Cleveland. I don't know if I've mentioned Kenrick or not to you.
I studied some of his stuff. I think I downloaded years ago some pirated webinars or whatnot. It was again fascinating, and hypnosis was fascinating, and all these cool tricks that are like this is a very cool trick. How do you apply it? I don't know. It's like watching magic show, it's like it's amazing, right? Being a part of that, but I cannot do it. I cannot do the card tricks. I cannot make things disappear the way they do it. So it's
and I think you're onto something. And I will even say, as much as I really like Kenrick, I went through Persuasion Factor and all that, and literally the main takeaway that I actually use is the criteria elicitation, and then the rest of it, I don't know that I can.
That's the thing. It's all just scam artistry in a way. Maybe it's not malevolent, maybe it's a benevolent, but it's still sort of a scam artistry in a way, because I don't see it as being a life-changing or life-altering. I just don't see how it is. Maybe I'm missing something, but I tried that. It didn't work.
I'm completely open to that possibility that really what Jeremy has taught and what you're learning and executing day in, day out is not only I have it and I saw it done. It's much like Black Swan Group. Okay, here's the framework. Okay, can I do that? Oh yes, if I practice and learn it, I can actually do it.
This is just a work area. Like I'm using an EPQ over there, but it's a mode I put myself in when I do that, and then I get off, and there are other routines, and it's not overflowing too much into the other areas of life, and that's what I noticed with the same with Black Swan Group techniques. Like yes, we practice it, but there is almost no benefit in practicing them day-to-day life in like every interaction that you have. And so it's not on the forefront of your mind, and so you're losing the grip, and then you're coming back to practices again. But you almost never get to do the conflict resolution. It's just, and if the conflict is within family, it's probably not going to work, because you're just going to appear clumsy trying something for the first time in a conflict that matters to you a lot. When the stakes are super high. So the chances of failure in this is very high, because people who teach in those methods, they're going in high stakes scenarios that 1% of 1% people get into. And now they focus on 1% knowledge of 1% people that need to apply those tools. And so it becomes kind of a rabbit hole that it's fascinating, because we're dealing with human behavior. But at the same time, you never get to actually use this. So it becomes this intellectual soup, which is fascinating. I love it. But at the same time,
but is it just a rabbit hole, and you're going to get down to the rabbit hole at the very down of the pit of the rabbit hole? You're like, you know what? I'm in a rabbit hole.
That's the thing, and that's why
Yes.
Douglas, I brought
Yeah.
EFT and having another techniques. Like, hey, you willing to practice this shit with me? Let's try it
Yeah.
and see what's gonna work. And that's what we practiced, and we saw results. And we got bored or whatever. We moved on to other things. But this is something that we practice, and it had a real tangible value or outcome.
Right.
Those things are not, Eli's stuff. He has bits and pieces, Chase, but I just don't see those. I love his beats that's what I wanted to hear. Maybe you have some sort of a collection where he does his beats, like you could see that he's installing gratitude in you, or he's like manipulating this limbic part of your limbic system. So
and I will say, so far, I'm not in a position to say yes or no yet. I feel like, what I will say categorically right now, I still, like, if somebody wanted to get into sales, without a question, it'd be like, hey, go talk to NEPQ guys, without a question. And what I'm in, and again, I don't know if I'm just a rabbit hole. I chase rabbits, and that's what I do. That might be what my thing is, and I think that that's possibly a coaching thing for me. Is I need to not chase rabbits right now. I need to focus more on day in, day out stuff. But I love chasing rabbits, man. I love those rabbits. Those intellectual rabbits are fun.
This is what we touched on today on the training, isn't it? Actually, distraction, procrastination.
It may well be, and then again, I haven't looked at it close enough, and with my my, how do you put it, your kitchen cabinet of people that are coaching your business and in what you're trying to build, having that discussion recently. And here's a prime example, Eugene. I love computational finance, right? Really cool mathematics stuff. But at the end of the day, how much math do I really need to do what I'm working on?
Well, that's why YouTube is exploding. There are so many people who do absolutely not how shall I put it? It's like not productive in the sense of like you creating a product, right, of your actions, but it's like intellectual soup that people like to boil themselves in to feel good.
Yes.
To get distracted. Yeah.
And again, it may be an ego thing. It's like and this is something that Chase talks about too, is like intelligence is a high value to me, or like is a high personal, how I judge myself. Or so in a way, I'm just feeding my ego with it. All I'm doing, I'm feeding my ego. But at the end of the day, is that going to create a tangible economic result? And if
are they selling you the idea that it will? Those guys, this is the idea that you feel like they're pushing, right? That it's going to be life changing.
No, and that's where the coaching behind this is like, well, okay, by actually making this is where I get to throw my favorite quote. Until I make the unconscious conscious, it's going to direct my life, and I'm going to call it fate, right? So, and okay, Google, alarm off. Until I bring that into my conscious awareness of like, well, what am I even doing with this? So that awareness is like, okay, maybe, possibly, you need to put that stuff down and do stuff that's more like right down the fairway. So that's been the awareness from that. So the net result of this call, or what we're getting to a conclusion for this afternoon or this morning, is, okay, maybe the Chase stuff is interesting and cool, but at the end of the day, is that playing down the fairway or not? And I don't know the answer yet. So if you would like, let me continue to run down the rabbit hole, and then I can report back that yes, indeed, Eugene, it's a rabbit hole, and you're right. You don't have to spend any time on this. Or Eugene, oh, wait a minute, hold on.
You're too kind, Douglas. I never meant that. I don't want to put you in
no,
position.
No, and I think that but I feel honored that you asked me about it, and we're willing to talk about it. And this is a great question just for me generally too, is like, okay, what should you be doing right now? It's like,
who else do you know Who else do you know into Chase's stuff that you communicate with?
Just the Shodan and I definitely for sure. And then the guys that show up, definitely Freddie, and is definitely spent some time on it. And then everybody else is kind of interested and curious, so we're spending time. The one thing I will say that Chase did do a good job on do you remember the Jack Schaefer elicitation stuff?
Didn't get too deep into his work,
Yeah.
but I read
Yeah,
something.
I think this is practical stuff that Chase did cover. Were like elicitation that we recently talked about in his 6-minute X-ray book. I think elicitation is a good skill, like practical and usable. So that's one thing I will say. Concrete, yes. Categorically, yes. I think this is useful.
So I bet you know already how to practice it.
Yeah, we're just basically doing like N9 with the repetition is like, well, just practice saying those statements. So that's what we've been doing in the last 2 weeks is mix and match, is throwing, not only
What kind of? Give me an example. What kind of statements? How does it?
like, so for example, one of the key ones is like flattery. Wow, Eugene, it seems like you really crushed this NEPQ stuff, and then let it go at that, and then like the dopamine receptors go off, and it's like, oh yeah, man, it's like, and then you get to talk about that particular aspect. So if you're trying
How
to
do you
get,
know it's going to produce positive result?
not necessarily, and you really actually don't care. What you're trying to do is get information. Period. You don't necessarily have a negative or positive result. But and getting someone to complain, for example, like, wow, it seems like you've been hammering away at that stuff for years, and what has that really done? It's like, so getting someone to complain, for example, is an elicitation technique.
But do you encounter the situation that you need to use those tools?
I'm so new to it yet. I feel like it will be useful, but I haven't used it in the streets yet.
Even the Black Swan tools that we've been practicing for the past, 6 months, right?
Yeah.
Year
plus,
so
year-ish.
How often? So when you experience those, I'm curious, like how often do you use this stuff?
I will say the number one thing that Black Swan has changed my world is making me aware of just how bad a listener I am. The active listening piece that they
that's
preach,
the biggest skill actually.
By far, like it was like, if nothing else, if I took nothing else from it, just the slap in the face at how bad I am at active listening, and make me work on that. Huge difference.
So aside from that, like how often do you actually find yourself using labels and like asking labels, let's say, or no-orient questions?
Me personally, I'm trying to do it more in terms of labeling, and it is effective for rapport. I feel like it's from that standpoint, I'm getting summaries and paraphrasing, definitely good stuff that I use. Accusation audits, I don't think I've ever actually outside of practice used one, maybe one time, for example.
Well,
but again,
those accusation audits, they you have to be very in specific character there. Like you have to play a specific role when you're doing this accusation audits. Generally, it's very hard to pull off without looking very awkward. And normally, like accusation audits are done in a friendly way, like with the most friendliness. Like, dude, you're gonna think I'm a horrible person.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you self-deprecating here. And at the same time, you're giving it in a specific format. Then it works really well, but it's really hard to pull off when you're finding yourself in a stressful situation.
Right.
And that's why those guys who are in FBI, they're trained for years to do that. Right. Of course, they're giving us tools, but it's like learning how to build a house without a blueprint. Just,
off you go.
Put it together.
And Eugene, I really sincerely could do this for another hour. Unfortunately, I do have a heart out. But man, my friend, it is really great to catch up, and thank you so much for the stimulating discussion, because I really, what you're posing is a really very excellent question. It's like, should you go down this rabbit hole? And to the extent that it's not a rabbit hole, I hope I can bring you back the usable stuff and tell you where to point you directly. Like, okay, let's look specifically at that, and hopefully
I mean,
figure that
look,
out.
was this, and to add to that is, I mean, I'm going down the rabbit hole all the time. I mean, it's fun, and that's why we're having conversation, why we're having connection, right?
Yes.
On this nerdy kind of things.
Yes. Yeah.
So like, it's never gonna go away.
Yeah.
Just curious about those guys because they're
Yeah.
relatively new on the radar. Like,
Yeah.
you know about Tony Robbins, keep doing his stuff
Oh
in
yeah.
Tanzania.
Long time. Long
But
time.
now there is a lot of these cool guys, cool kids appear, and they all flashy.
Yeah.
And it's like spy, literally James Bond
Yeah.
that we've been watching for years and years. It's in front of you, man.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is some nice brainwashery here. Not in a bad way.
Yeah. It's a cool trick, bro. But can I do that? And boy, that's the real great question. All right.
Right. All
I'll
right,
talk to
brother.
you soon. Good to see you. Bye bye.